What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
Well, can we start with that timeline I alluded to a little bit ago? Because you have it written down minute to minute. And to be clear, when we originally talked about you coming in, you had been working with a major network on investigating the scene for a big special on the 60th anniversary, which you did. You did the whole thing. We're not going to say what network, and we're not going to say what other people were involved. But due to some other people outside of the network, it looks like that is not going to air. So we are essentially getting the exclusive here today on the work you did with us. I'm very happy to see that. But for people out there who, I mean, everyone's familiar with the case, obviously, but you know, there's all kinds of moving details in this. For people out there, can we just bring this scene to life right now, and then we'll start dissecting and go through what you found?
Yeah, sure. So you're asking me for a dramatic reading?
whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. Let's kind of start off with. We're not going to go back as far as arriving at Love Field and all these sorts of things, but let's just go through kind of the sequencing when we begin to think about, November 22nd, 1963, and it literally picks up at about 12:29 p.m. That's when they believe the first shot was fired. And then at 12:30 p.m., and this is per the record, that the second and third shots were fired. At 12:35 p.m., the presidential limo arrives at the hospital, which was Parkland, and JFK is brought into the trauma room.
Quick question on that. I mean, he had his head blown off on TV. Yet they always say like he wasn't declared dead for. You're going to get to that in the timeline.
No. Please go ahead.
But wasn't he dead in the car?
Yeah, I was having this discussion with my wife the other day. She was saying, was it the president? The president was gone when he arrived at Parkland, and they have to put forth they have to go to great lengths to put forth as good a try as they can at heroic measures. You're talking about the president of the United States. And listen, the people at Parkland that were in that trauma center, they were vested. They wanted him to live.
Yeah.
And they had not lost hope. There was nothing sinister about the actions that they took. They did what you would expect at that particular time any trauma room to do. As a matter of fact, they went so far as to, and this goes to another topic here. Parkland's a teaching hospital. Many people forget that. So you've got residents that are there, and you've got these really esteemed professorial types that are there that are teaching young doctors. So when the president arrived there, the balloon goes up unit wide at this place. So if they need,
and this is at 12:35.
Yeah. So he rolled through the door at 12:35, but in that time, between the time he arrived and the time he was pronounced dead, there were a number of people that kind of materialized in the treatment area. And I think it's important to understand that you had neurosurgeons that were there that had come down, because they're thinking about, are we going to get him? Is there any way we're going to be able to save him? Does he have like some kind of agonal respiration where his chest is rising and falling? We think about the primal brain controlling our ability to respire and our heart beating and all. Was he doing that unassisted? If there's a chance, we've got to get a neurosurgical consult. So they want these people in there as well. So you've got eyes on. You got the emergency room physicians. You've got the nursing staff that's working feverishly. They're probably doing chest compressions. They're running what's called a code. They're trying to bring him back. And then you have these other medical professionals that are in there, and they're seeing things. You're talking about neurosurgeons that are there in that environment. They're seeing anatomical landmarks. They're seeing his exposed brain, according to many of them, all the while, and they're processing this. And for that instant, they take a snapshot in their brain. In their mind's eye, they take a snapshot of what they're seeing, because for them in this moment in time, it's not that, oh my God, this is the president of the United States. It's, how do I break this down professionally, and what's the plan of attack here to try to salvage this man's life? Yeah, I would imagine. So? Yeah, I think that for a lot of these folks that, they have the ability to kind of disconnect on one level. I mean, once you've got blood on you at that point in time, I think, and you're doing the examination and people are working feverishly, it's a patient at that point in time. He's a patient at that point in time. And now the person running the code would probably have an awareness. They would know that it's the president, but the code didn't last a long time. It was, let's see, he was actually pronounced dead. He rolled through the door at 3:35.
12:35?
At 12:35, and he was pronounced dead at 12:57. So that's not a lot of elapsed time. The ride where they go under the viaduct and they've got their foot on the floor, the Secret Service limo driver, straight shot there. They roll right into the ambulance bay. They pull in, they pull directly in like you're parking your car, if no one's ever seen the images there. And that's another thing I'd have to make a comment on here. But yeah. Also,
I'm just remembering, you have Governor Connally in the car too, who's been hit with bullets.
He has been hit. And
so they just leave him in the car for a minute?
No, they would have extricated him as well. He's going to go to a separate trauma room because he's
got like the janitor in there working on him?
No, he's the governor, and he has got significant injuries that are potentially life-threatening. He's blown out one of his ribs as a result of this. It's clipped a lung at this point in time.
Magic bullet did it.
Yeah, and we'll get into that some. But yeah, I mean, this man's and he's not a young guy. And so the older you get, obviously, the more trauma you sustain. Right. There's a higher probability, that you're going to, take the leap off the mortal coil here. So they're having to do heroics with him, not to the same level as somebody with an open gunshot wound to the head. But still, they would have thrown resources at him. And as you can imagine, it's totally chaos, and it's very chaotic. And I've often wondered about this with Governor Connally. Obviously, the Secret Service is there protecting the president, okay? And I've often wondered, what type of security did Governor Connally have at that moment in time? Did he have Texas Rangers that took care of him? Or was it state police? Where were they? Were they around this area? Because, and my mind always goes to the coroner, the medical examiner, because I'm thinking when this is going on with Dr. Rose, Earl Rose later on, I'm thinking, were there state police officers there that were part of a team that was assigned to Governor Connally, or had they said, well, we've got the Secret Service today, you boys go grab a cup of coffee. We're not going to be in need of your services. And I can't imagine that, but maybe that's what happened because, I've always thought, why didn't they step in and interdict the situation? Of course, they're focused on the governor's personal security. They probably wouldn't even have had an awareness that, people are about to take the president's body to Love Field, and they're going to depart as soon as they possibly can. And don't forget this. Vice President Johnson's entourage soon came in as well. Oh, yeah. He's with Lady Bird. They show up. And he's got this, they talk about his pallor, that he's kind of flushed, pallor. He's ashen white, and he's going in there because at that moment in time, they've stated that they didn't know what was happening. That people in the immediate circle, they thought that Johnson might be killed, and it's my understanding they had to remove him through a separate exit in the hospital because they were worried for his personal safety. You're talking about the next president. So they have to get him back to Love Field as well.
He was in the room where they were working on him?
I don't know that. I know that he was removed down the hallway at some point in time. And the big thing I've always heard about him specifically was that they were very concerned that some great harm could come to him, and they wanted to prevent that.
Got it.
And I think that they wanted to go wheels up as soon as they could at Love Field.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.